Hello, happy Monday night, everybody. My name is Lisa, and I'm really excited. We're going to share tonight a couple of my sweet friends. I can't wait for y'all to meet them if you haven't already, and they're going to share tonight's topic of stories of hope. And that is what we are all about, whether it's hope in Jesus, hope in health, hope in finances. We are here to share hope. And so I'm so glad someone shared hope with me. So we are going to share with you guys tonight. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First, we're going to hear from my sweet friend Stephanie, and she's going to tell you all about her and her story. So go ahead, Steph.
All right. Thanks, Lisa, for having me. We were just chatting about how we love to tell our stories, but I do get a little nervous. But I have a lot to tell. I've been super blessed over these past almost 5 years after being introduced to Plexus. Like Lisa said, I am super glad that a friend shared with me. It's almost 5 years to the date. I had twin boys that were a year and a half. I'm a twin mama, married for goodness, almost 10 years. And then I have a stepdaughter that is about to be 18 and graduate from high school. And so we are a Plexus family. We all use the products. But I had a rough go after having my babies. I was introduced to the products when they were about a year and a half. And I was just tired. And of course, my doctor just said, welcome to motherhood. Welcome to motherhood, Stephanie. And I thought, you know what? I waited so long for these babies, and I just want to be the energetic, fun mom that I always wanted to be. And I was sharing with a friend. I was visiting her down in Texas, and she just happened to say, she's like, you know what? I was just introduced to these products. I'm just checking them out myself for other health reasons for her. And she's like, I don't know, give it a shot. And I was like, you know what? I will do anything right now because the mom guilt was setting in. They were big enough now that they were moving around, and I just couldn't keep up with them. I mean, we were going from 2 naps a day down to one, and mom and he still needed two. And so I was just struggling, and the mom guilt was harsh. We didn't necessarily have the money. I had quit teaching. After my boys were born, I had taught for 13 years. My husband is also a teacher. So that tells you a little bit about our income. And so I was planning on going back to work the next fall. But as God would have it, we know that he provides. And so Plexus entered my life, first just for the products. And I had pretty good energy after just 7 days on the products. So I was like, you know what, this is great. I started sharing just because I love the products. I was not looking into this business. I was an MLM snob. I had recently had told my husband, gosh, I'm trying to figure out what all these moms do from home. And I'm like, they all do these MLMs. Like, what? 95% of these moms on these twin pages are doing MLMs. I'm like, I would never do that. So I simply just shared, with my mom, my sister, my best friend, because I knew they were suffering from some things. And then I started seeing some money coming to my bank account. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I could do this. I wasn't on social media much other than to share pictures of my babies. But, talking to my friend, she's like, you know what? Let's do this together. So I did jump into the business about 6 months after being on the products because I didn't want to go back to work. I did not want to go back to teaching, not just because of my babies, but I was burned out. I was just done, and I had lost my passion for it. And it's just not a profession you can be in if you're not passionate about it anymore. And so I thought, what if my plan was to go back to work in the fall in about 6 months? And I was like, maybe I won't have to. So I just kind of took a chance. And so after about 3 months on the products, I started noticing unexpected changes, like regular cycles. I had struggled through infertility for 3 years and never had a normal cycle my whole life. I was underweight my whole life. And just that was part of my infertility. We could not get my cycle on track. And after about 3 months, I just happened to notice, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm getting like a normal 28 to 30 day cycle without being bent over in pain when it did come. I suffered from that for a long time. And so that was an unexpected surprise. But after learning more about the products, learning about hormone balance, I was like, okay, this is great. And I was on the Fab4. I was using Triplex and X Factor Plus. So we started noticing that. Then I started my kids on the products, and both of my boys, one of them more than the other, suffered from eczema. And everybody's like, use the creams, do this. The doctor wanted to do steroids. I was like, no. Put them on the probiotic. I learned that eczema stems from the gut. And so I started seeing success with my boys. So they have been on the product since they've been almost 2 years old. They do ProBio 5, BioCleanse every night, and we also do the kids drink and multivitamin plus probiotic. So both of them, we have not had an eczema problem since. It has, their skin is smooth. They've never had it pop up again. Unlike a lot of times when you use the creams, it's like you have to constantly battle it. And so we've seen great success with that. My husband, the next spring, suffers horribly from seasonal allergies, and he suffers bad around this time of year. And we just, I'm like, you know what? Just up your products. Let's see what we can do. And he quickly became a believer because he's 40 some years old and has suffered his entire life and didn't realize that allergies stem from the gut. So we had another family success story. I had gone in, it was probably a few months before I started the products, and had done a whole blood panel. And my family cholesterol runs pretty high. And so unexpectedly, after being on the products for about 6 months, I went and got my blood drawn again. And the doctor's like, what in the world are you doing? Like, my cholesterol has always been high. And the only change I had done was Plexus. So all these unexpected blessings that I never thought, I'm just starting because I'm a tired mom. But seeing all these other things happen with our family was amazing. And last of all, like I was saying, I did not have to go back to teaching in the fall. I've been a stay-at-home mom since they were born. My boys just turned, well, gosh, they're almost 6.5. And I've been home with them for every single step of the way. And now I've been blessed to homeschool them. They are in kindergarten this year, something I never thought that I would be able to do. And here we are. We are also getting ready for my husband to take off teaching next year so that we can travel the US in an RV that we just bought. We are currently selling our house. I'm actually sitting, I already got rid of my desk. I am sitting at my kids' homeschool table in a tiny little chair because we are starting to get rid of our stuff and starting to move into an RV. So God has just blessed us in so many ways through these products and this business. My husband is going to jump into the business with me as we head into this new venture. So we are excited about that. He has built belief and he has seen changes and his family has seen changes. And so we are going to do this together, which is such a blessing. So that is my story, Lisa. Thank you so much for allowing me to share. There's just so many things God has just provided for us in these past 5 years through Plexus.
Thank you for sharing. That's really amazing. That y'all can take a break from teaching and well, I guess more for him, take a break from teaching and make some really great memories going all across the US. And hopefully you promise you're going to come to Montgomery and see us.
You are on our way. You know that. We are totally.
Yes, good.
We know you have room. We're coming.
Come see us. That's so exciting. So many people, wish that they could do something like that. And this is this is a real, tangible way that people can see how this income has been such a blessing. And you can do it from anywhere, obviously.
Yes.
Do it from an RV.
Yeah. And we've done it from the RV. We've taken a couple trips already. So
Yes. Beautiful pictures too. So I can't wait to see some more adventures. So that's really fun. And the kids are going to make such great memories. They're going to always remember that. So that's fun. So, well, thank you for sharing. And so up next is my sweet friend, Beck. This girl, y'all, is just a ball of sunshine, and she is just so much fun. And so she's going to share a little bit about her story. Go ahead.
I am so excited to get to share with y'all. And Stephanie, I did not realize how much we have in common. That is pretty crazy. So you'll get to hear a little bit of that as I get to share. But just to kind of take you back to where it all began, I had a son who was suffering from GI issues, so much so that he was actually hospitalized 4 times in 12 months prior to us starting Plexus. So we're talking hospital bills like up to our eyeballs. It was really tough. And my husband was a police officer at the time. I chose to be a stay-at-home mom, and that's what we decided in our marriage that was going to happen for our kids. I actually had my degree in teaching, but once we had our kiddos, like Stephanie, I was like, I don't want to do it. I got to stay with my babies, and so that's what I chose to do. And to get that to happen, I want you guys to know a lot of teachers that are out there that do have kiddos, they're almost paying for childcare, like their paycheck covers their childcare and that's about it, right? And so it's like this checks and balances kind of thing, and it's just too much almost. And we at the time of starting Plexus had 4 kiddos. And so if I was even going to work, it just wouldn't have made sense because of how much I would have had to pay for childcare and everything else. So I was cleaning toilets at people's houses. I was cleaning houses. And I don't know if y'all have ever done it before. It's one thing to clean your own toilet, but cleaning other people's toilets, it's not so much fun, right? I had this one man, I won't go there. Anyways, black curly hair is all I have to say. Everywhere. Gross, right? Okay, I said it. I went there. So all I'm saying is when Plexus came in and I saw it as an opportunity for me as an income stream, I jumped all over that. But it didn't happen at first. At first, I was just looking for something to solve a problem that we had, something I had been praying for years. At this point, actually 6 years I had been praying. And so whenever the Lord keeps on saying, like, keep praying, don't stop praying, like I was that mama. I did not stop. And in fact, my husband was working nights. So I stayed up all hours of the night reading medical journals and diving into everything I could, getting it in my brain to understand what the gut was all about and how it was affected by the medicines he was on and what we were doing. I was piecemealing all these different things together. And then my friend, my sweet friend from college, we were college roommates, calls me up and is like, hey, y'all notice my phone. Okay. Just for a second, notice the 80s phone I have. Okay. None of this. All right. So she calls me up and she's like, hey, Becca, I want you to know that I found something that is working tremendous for what I've got going on in my gut. And I really think it will help Caleb. And I trust her, number one. Number two, I was like, send me the products. I mean, send me the ingredients. So I wanted to take a look at them and see why, because I had studied, I had scrutinized over every single label his entire life. So when I read what was in the ingredients, I right away knew that this stuff was good, that this scientist actually knew what they were doing. Does anybody know that for your body to be able to absorb magnesium, it has to be coupled with bioflavonoids and ascorbic acid? Well, guess what, guys? The scientists at Plexus know that. So when you go to Walmart and you buy your magnesium supplement, enjoy flushing it down the toilet as you go, because that's basically what is happening in your body. You need to realize that the Lord has made so many things to join together, to work out, to have relationships, right? Our whole entire existence is all about relationships, right? A relationship to the Lord and relationship to others, relationship with even products, with ingredients. They all go together in some form or fashion, helping one another for it to be utilized to the best of our body's ability, right? So Plexus knows this. Right away, I knew that these products were going to be good. And right away, we started to see changes in Caleb's life. Well, my second prayer, so that was my first prayer, was for Caleb to get well. Let me tell you, he has not been back to the GI since we started. And that was 7 years ago. So prior to that, we were in the hospital 4 times in 1 year, plenty times more over the course of his life. Endoscopies, colonoscopies. He had to eat a radioactive egg and have a scan. I mean, this kid has been through it all and has not even had to go back. Now, my second prayer was that my husband was a police officer. And I knew that it was really taxing on him. However, it was his favorite job ever. He was so good at it. The Lord had blessed him and had given him the brain and the knowledge and all of that for it. But as a daddy of 4 young babies, it was just getting to be too much. And so I had been praying for him to find another job. Well, God has a sense of humor. If you go to Numbers, whenever the people are complaining and asking for something, they're saying, we want meat, we want meat, when the Lord had been providing manna. Let me tell you, he says, okay, I'm going to give you meat. I'm going to give it to you so much that it comes out your nostrils. Look it up. It's in the Bible, no, Numbers, right? So he has a sense of humor. And let me tell you, I realized quickly after that the Lord was actually calling me into this business. And I had realized what was going on as far as being able to make some money. And so I stopped cleaning toilets and I started paying off debt. But then quickly my paycheck exceeded my husband's police officer paycheck. And then I was like, okay, this is really an answer to prayer. And it gives him the opportunity to step away from this line of work. So we did, and we actually paid all of our debt off. And then we Then we bought an RV, Stephanie. We toured the US for a year. And then we actually settled back here, back in Missouri, at a property that's right across the street from my parents. Super fun. So funny. I keep seeing your little boys come in. I'm thinking they're behind me, Stephanie. I'm like, oh, my kids are coming in, but it's yours. Um, but when you have four, you just always expect to have one coming in at some point in time. So, anyways, I just want to say, this all happened because people started to see the difference in Caleb and his health. People, he had been on the prayer list for all ages. And so they were seeing an answer to prayer and asking how we figured it out, what was going on. And then for me, I was the mama who was totally happy being chubby. I had 4 kids. So, I'm okay to be the chubby mom, right? But I started taking the products too and quickly realized I didn't have to be the chubby mom. Now, I still have junk in the trunk. I always will. That's just how God made me, right? I'm B cubed. That's big butt Becca. Okay. Just in case you ever want to know. So I will always be that. But let me tell you this. God is so good, because as I was taking the products, I realized that my body was also suffering from poor gut health. I had my appendix rupture when I was in college. And so I completely had wrecked gut health, because when it ruptured, they pumped me full of antibiotics. I knew nothing about taking gut, like probiotics at the time. And yet, whenever I was a mama on a mission, I didn't process that, hey, you probably need this stuff too. So I had suffered from cystic acne for the longest time. I actually had a wart right here on the end of my nose. My mother actually said, you need to make an appointment and get that off, because we were about to have family pictures, and she didn't want a warted child in her pictures. But let me tell you, I started taking Probio 5. That thing just fell right off. Like, fell off. Don't worry, not into my cereal, nothing like that. It just disappeared one day. That's all. Okay. So I don't know. It could have been in my cereal. Who knows? But anyways, all I got to say is this: it's amazing stuff. It's amazing stuff. And your friends will be thankful that you shared with them. And I'm hoping right now that anybody that gets to listen to this call will realize this, that when you have been praying for something and your friend says, hey, I think I might have found something, then maybe that's an answer or something that you should listen to. Okay. Because you just never know what's going to work. And what thing that really changed my mind with Plexus, and this is super, like, so silly, but this is what changed my mind. They have a 60-day money back guarantee. And so I was like, hey, I had tried everything else under the sun. I personally had dieted, like, I mean, one time I think all I ate was celery for like a month. No, not really, because I wouldn't last. But anyways, I really dieted and I never found help, never whatever. And so that's why I had like decided I was just going to be the chubby mom. But then enters Plexus and I get my gut healthy and things just changed. I started feeling better. My kids, no joke, with my 4th baby, I was really struggling to even nurse him. I did great with my first 3, but I struggled with that last one. Why? Because I was so just exhausted. I just wasn't there. And so my milk supply was bad, but insulin and milk supply are really closely related to one another. So once I entered that pink drink into my life, my failure to thrive baby turned to this chunky little toddler, and I was able to nurse, and it was amazing. All that to say is, what I want you guys to know is, whenever you hear stories of hope and you hear that title of what that is, there are so many things that Plexus can help with. So if you are suffering from something, if you are struggling with acne, if you're struggling with eczema, like Stephanie's kiddos, if you're struggling with milk supply, if you're struggling with losing weight, whatever it might be, I just want you to, for a second, look up what you're struggling, put in gut health with it, and then hit search on Google and just see what comes up. Chances are some article will come up to where you'll see that they're probably linked somehow, some way, linked together. And the reason for that is our gut is really our command center for everything. A lot of people think that our brain is, but more so our gut. Even for our hormones, most of our hormones are made in our gut, right? So for that to have a chance to actually do what it's supposed to do, you have to get it balanced. And so that is what Plexus has done for us. It hasn't even just just given us hope. It really has balanced things out to make things possible for us to do what we're supposed to do and for us to live the way we're supposed to live. So I am thankful to get to share this. I probably could go on and on about more stuff, but I don't want to bore you. I'm sure you're probably falling asleep already in this call, but I love y'all. And I thank you for hopping on and listening for just a second. Something big's happening in Stephanie's house. And the big eyes for a second, you never know what we didn't hear since she was muted. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you so much, Lisa, for giving me the opportunity to share my story and just a snippet of it, because like I said, it has been 7 years of changing our life, and we are super grateful for that phone call from Megan whenever she's like, hey, I think I found something that could help. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is it now? Like the kids have cell phones. So it's like, what is it?
I
This?
think they do this like a flat cell phone.
Oh, I was like, how do they hold?
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Hello. Yeah. Be like,
Yeah.
hello. These kids nowadays, I'll tell you what. Thank you both for sharing. Beck, I tell you, I should have prefaced everybody to make sure they had their bladders empty before you went on, because you're a pretty funny gal. As much time as we've spent together, Beck, I did not know that about the wart on your nose.
Oh yeah.
Luke had molluscum contagiosum on his hands and on his face and other places. And the first round of that, he went to dermatologist and had it burned off with acid. Ugh. But I didn't know any different, Second round, I said, hey, we can go back to the dermatologist or we can try Plexus. And so we did. And we did the X Factor multivitamin. This was before X Factor Plus. So X Factor multivitamin and the ProBio 5. All of it cleared up. All of it. It was crazy. And I don't know where they went or fell off. I don't know. They just went away. But it was really crazy, and I didn't know that about you, so that's really interesting. But yeah, you and Stephanie have a lot more in common than I thought too. I mean, I hear y'all's stories separately, but then hearing it at the same time, I'm like, oh, we're separated.
I know. Hey, and I gotta say, Stephanie, we just had a Plexus family stop by with their RV. So after Lisa's, if you're ever passing through St. Louis, you gotta stop by because we have an RV pad ready for you.
Oh wow!
Oh, you just made it onto our travel list. That's exciting. No, yeah, we are just putting the whole list together, and yep, we're heading on over. We are super excited, so I'm gonna have to chat with you more about that.
Teachers and RVs. There you go. That's awesome. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in for just a bit. And it's interesting because even as long as we've been doing Plexus, as long as I know Stephanie and Beck and I have been doing it, sometimes we forget to share our story. What this company and these products have done in our lives. But if we don't share the stories, if we don't remember to share what it's done in our lives, how are people going to know, what they've done? And the same thing about Jesus. If we don't share what Jesus has done, how will people know? So, well, we love y'all and thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to y'all later. Y'all have a good night.